When astronomers first catalogued 3I Atlas in July 2025, the world barely noticed. It was just another number in a database, the third interstellar object ever seen, sure, but still, by all appearances, nothing more than a silent visitor. Another piece of cosmic debris wandering through the vast emptiness between stars, destined to pass by, unremembered, on a one-way trip to oblivion. But then the James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful and sensitive eye humanity has ever opened to the cosmos, locked onto it. And what it saw changed everything. This wasn't just an icy rock being warmed by the sun. Deep within 3I Atlas, something was glowing. Not randomly, not chaotically, but rhythmically. Like a pulse. And as the days went by, what started as a strange curiosity began evolving into something far more disturbing. The object began emitting thermal energy from within, not from its sunlit surface. Then came the signals, radio pulses repeating with chilling precision. And finally, the course change. The object veered, intentionally. This wasn't a rock on a passive path. This was an object behaving with intent and possibly with awareness. Something is inside 3I Atlas. And the James Webb Telescope may have just confirmed it. At first, it was just a statistical outlier in the Webb Telescope's infrared feed. But as the team reviewed the data, the anomaly refused to be dismissed. 3I Atlas didn't behave like any other object. Its brightness remained eerily constant, but its core emitted a focused glow, pulsing at exact intervals. Every 4 hours, the heat surged and faded in a perfectly timed cycle. This wasn't the chaotic, random venting of a sun-warmed comet. This was the rhythmic, regulated pulse of a machine, or a metabolism. It didn't correspond to rotation, solar wind, or any known natural process. It came from deep inside, completely unaffected by the changing angle of sunlight. Scientists called it a thermal anomaly. But off the record, in secured chat rooms, some began whispering another word: heartbeat. The pulse was slow, deliberate, resonating not like radiation, but like an engine breathing in deep space. An object generating its own power in the frozen void. As the thermal data became impossible to ignore, radio astronomers joined the investigation. Telescopes across the globe aimed their receivers at 3I Atlas. The Allen Telescope Array detected a faint, narrow band signal, a consistent pulse emerging every 4 hours, perfectly synchronized with the thermal surges detected by Webb. Skepticism reigned, but the signal did not waver. This wasn't the broad, messy static of a pulsar. It was a clean, digital-like spike. A stable carrier wave unlike anything naturally occurring in space. The odds of two separate, complex phenomena, one thermal, one radio, pulsing in perfect lockstep by chance are not just astronomical. They are zero. It was as if something on board 3I Atlas was not just active but broadcasting. It was August 18 when everything changed again. Webb's continuous feed captured a sudden flare from 3I Atlas, an explosive surge of energy that increased its brightness by 40% in less than an hour, blinding the sensor for a moment. Even more shocking was what followed. A recalibration of its trajectory showed a subtle but undeniable course correction. 3I Atlas wasn't just drifting. It was steering. The European Space Agency's orbital modelers reran simulations, attempting to attribute the maneuver to outgassing. But the math didn't fit. The thrust required for such a shift was far greater than any natural jetting could produce, and it was perfectly controlled. The flare and the course change occurred simultaneously, as if one was the product of the other. As if a navigation burn had just been completed. This was no longer just an observation. This was an encounter. Whatever was piloting this object had just made its first, deliberate move. Attention turned to the object's composition. Spectroscopic analysis from Webb deepened the mystery tenfold. While common elements like water ice were present, they were overlaid by absorption lines never before recorded in nature. Some indicated metallic alloys, including rare earth elements used in advanced manufacturing. Others hinted at quantum materials and complex carbon lattices, structured at a molecular level to behave in ways natural materials cannot. Certain reflections mimicked metamaterials designed to bend light, the same kind used in theoretical stealth technologies. In short, 3I Atlas wasn't just constructed, it was designed. In a desperate effort, scientists used the massive CHIME array in Canada to broadcast a wide-band, silence pulse, toward 3I Atlas, a high-risk, high-reward experiment. It was a method designed not to speak, but to listen for a vacuum response. When the signal reached the object, the result was shocking. For 6.3 seconds, the void stared back. 3I Atlas absorbed all detectable frequencies. Not reflection, not refraction. Pure, absolute silence, as if it had inhaled the signal. The control room held its breath. Then, on the 7th second, it exhaled. A single, powerful return pulse. A pulse that exactly matched the 1977 anomaly known as the "wow" signal. The implications were devastating. Either the object had captured that signal from Earth decades ago and replayed it deliberately, or it was the original source. Suddenly, this traveler became a potential origin point of contact, a ghost replaying its own ancient message. Less than a week after this reply, a sudden dip in the object's brightness was recorded. High-contrast imaging from Webb revealed something unprecedented. A section of 3I Atlas's surface had moved. Not crumbled, not cracked. Retracted. A panel, rectangular, smooth, and perfectly machined, had pulled back, revealing a dark cavity within. A perfect, geometric blackness. No natural object has ever displayed mechanical motion. This was industry. This was purpose. Inside the newly exposed cavity, infrared scans detected no debris, no chaos. Instead, there was stability. A space engineered to remain cold and dark. Like a chamber, or a cradle. Scientists were divided. Was this an exhaust port? A sensor array? A hatch? Whatever it was, it had opened. And as the object continued on its new course, that opening remained locked on our planet. Like an eye that had finally swiveled to meet our gaze. And from within that new, perfect blackness, a second pulse began to emerge. Different from the first. Slower, heavier. More organic. A new, separate heartbeat. Something else had awakened inside. For centuries, humanity has stared into the night sky, searching for answers. We sent signals. We built telescopes. We dreamed of visitors. But never, not once, did we imagine that something might already be watching, waiting for us to simply look closely enough. 3I Atlas didn't just drift here. It arrived with purpose. It pulses with a heartbeat. It steers with intent. It answers our oldest, most mysterious signals. And now, as it moves silently past Mars, still glowing from within, it has opened its eye. The question is no longer what it is. The question is what it wants. And whether we were ever supposed to uncover it at all. If this sent chills down your spine, you're not the only one. We've already been noticed. And once you've been noticed, you can never go back to being alone. Subscribe for more breaking revelations as this story unfolds. Let us know in the comments, do you believe 3I Atlas is alive, or is it something built and waiting?